Whitehorse Public House. That was accepted by the council on the 2nd of March. There are now 7 weeks left of the consultation period for that community right to buy. Myself and Councillor Winham will be writing to the people who are making the decision on this in terms of supporting that application. The decision will be made by the Service Director for Business Services, the Deputy Leader of Central Bedfordshire Council and the Section 151 Officer. So we certainly need to make sure that we engage with those three individuals and get our reasoning across as to why we want to see the Whitehorse on the Community Asset Register. The consultation on that, or the judgment, will be on the 27th of April. Last week a paper went to the Executive laying out how these decisions are made, okay, and if anybody's interested I can provide a copy of that report, okay, so you can see the structure and the reasoning around why decisions are made, etc. Just for those people who live over the other side or work other side of Mill Lane, okay, on the 22nd of March, Mill Lane will be closed to all vehicular traffic from 8 AM through till 1600 hours. That does affect amenity trees. There will be no vehicle movements over the bridge between those hours. There will be pedestrian access and people will be escorted across the bridge. At the moment there is an awful lot of protection on the bridge that is being removed. The bridge is going to be resurfaced in certain areas and potholes repaired in other areas. And at the same time we'll do all the white lining in that area and get the bridge reopened. The lights will remain until we see how things move forward. Okay.
What date is that?
The 22nd, I've printed off a copy for you here.
Yeah.
Okay, you can have that one there. Okay. The Amy, our highways contractors, will be hand delivering letters to everybody on that side, all the businesses and the residents, informing them of those road closures. The bridge will be fully closed on the Sunday, but works will start on the Saturday. And I think that's. I'll touch on gypsies and travellers because I've been a bit on Facebook about it. We have had 2 recent applications for expansion of the 2 gypsies and travellers sites in Arlesey. Myself and a few others have taken the view that in the past we've gone for some really big campaigns and lots of petitions and all the rest of it. It hasn't worked. So we've changed our tact somewhat and we've gone for more of a view of actually prove the need is justified. And we've been helped greatly by the gypsy and traveller community themselves. And thank you, Councillor Holloway, for the advert last week. But we've had lots and lots of other adverts, etc. The gypsy and traveller community have been using those facilities down there to rent out mobile homes to the general public. Their latest ad, if you read it, actually said we welcome roaming travellers onto the site, so they are looking to get other people in there. Central Bedfordshire Council is well aware of what has gone on, and that's part of the reason behind what we've managed to do. We've had a campaign with lots and lots of newspapers that we've actually approached and asked them to go and ask questions of officers and to put the reasoning in. We've actually had one newspaper that's been very, very good, and they've actually informed us when the adverts have gone in. So they've been quite helpful with us as well. So we're working behind the scenes to do that. There is a multiple agency approach now as well to the gypsies and travellers communities, because this is an issue that is recognised not just in Arlesey. You may have read in the papers about some major issues with gypsies and traveller sites over in Leighton Buzzard as well. So Central Bedfordshire Council has taken a multiple agency approach now to who is living on these sites and the activities that's going on in them, etc. Which is why I think we're seeing more often now applications being refused. Okay, that's it.
Right, thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. There's just 2 other bits of information I'd just like to say before I sort of open it up for yourself. Because we didn't have a property report, just to let you all know that the cemetery work is now complete and it was open for all business as of Tuesday of last week, which was the 3rd of March. So although it's cost a lot of money, the cemetery is now completely dry. And as I'm sure you're all aware, on election day there will be, for some of you who don't attend town council meetings, there will be 4 different aspects of voting. There will be for the main parties in the general election, there will be ward councillor voting or central beds. There will be town council voting for this council, and there will also be a referendum proposal from Bedfordshire Police to vote on a council tax rise that they wish to put into the council tax. That's something that I don't think we've had before, but you'll be able to say, I presume, yes or no to that. I think the reasoning behind that is they want to employ, or the police commissioner wishes to employ extra resource to tackle some of the issues that have been highlighted on the news and all the national papers about abuse and social issues as well. Ian, I don't know if you've got more on that.
Yes, I mean the Police and Crime Commissioner feels that and it is true, local government spending and the spending on the police by government, the precept that they receive has been cut. And the Police and Crime Commissioner believes that he wants more money, or believes he needs more money to actually police our community how he feels, or how residents feel it should be policed. The issue that we need to look at is where are those officers going to go? At the moment, I'm not sure if you're aware, he was on Radio 4 on Saturday morning, around about 7:30. It was quite an interesting article on community policing, etc. And that was where he was trying to pitch it, is at the moment community policing is carried out by PCSOs. There are no fully warranted constables, etc. in community policing, and he was very much of the opinion that he wants the additional funds to put officers back on the beat. I was concerned when he then said, but by 2019 I'm going to have to cut another 100 officers if I don't get an increase. So if he doesn't get an increase in 2019, he's got to cut 100 officers. If he increases his budget by that amount, he's still going to have to cut 100 officers in 2019, was how I worked it out, listening to it on the radio. The other bit we've got to look at a local level, and I think residents need to be aware of, when the Police and Crime Commissioner came into power, he moved an awful lot of policing into the larger conurbations, to Luton, Leighton Buzzard and into Bedford. And I believe it was to the detriment of our community, and I think the report earlier from the police officer, police report that it's a cyclical thing. Burglaries go up in January. I don't think that's personally acceptable. Is it a case of every January they let somebody out of prison to come and rob our homes? I think it's a lack of community officers on the beat. So I think it's a judgment call that residents have to make. Okay, if you want to hopefully see more officers on the beat in our community, then you vote one way, and whether you trust what he said he's going to do. I'd like to think with that sort of level of precept increase that he will deliver the additional policing that we would like to see in Arlesey. Whether that's sustainable, given the second quality of what he said on Saturday, I don't know. But I think it's a decision for people to take on the day.
Okay, so it's the last agenda item is other matters relating to Arlesey, which is obviously open to yourselves to ask questions. Judy. Jane, sorry.
Can I ask Ian, how often the monitoring officer visits 197 Twin Acres?
In terms of 197, there is actually, if you go onto our enforcement site, there's actually an outstanding enforcement action being undertaken at 197, so it's on their radar. A notice was served on them the latter part of last year. Okay, when they come down and done keeping on the caravans and the people that are there, and serve notice on them to get the non-gypsy and travelling community off the site and to reduce the number of caravans.
And how long do they have after that enforcement notice to because I know one came through the village last Wednesday.
It all depends on if they appeal. So initially they put in a planning application.
So that's retrospective.
The application that was turned down last week immediately went in once they put the notice on them. But they have the right to appeal that as well. I would be very, very surprised if they don't appeal, because they generally do.
But they're probably already there, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. But it's the same at Twin Acres, where we basically had officers down there and found that there's non-gypsies and travellers in that site as well, and they've served notices on them. But if you go on to Central Bedfordshire Council's website, on the planning portal, it
Yeah.
lists all the outstanding enforcement actions,
Okay.
etc. Okay?
Do you know exactly how many caravans are down
They
there?
do know, yes, they are counted, okay, and when I spoke to officers last time, they informed me that they are above the count that they're allowed, and that's why they served the notice on them. And that was served at the end of last year.
The gentleman in the green, Joe.
Can I ask, I understand that the parking survey's been completed now. Can I ask what's going to happen about it?
You can. The parking survey, Central Bedfordshire Council put the consultation out to the external body to do it for them. They came back with an initial report. I and Councillor Wenham thought that it was inadequate, and we've asked them to look at it again. The initial report was based on the residents' survey that was done by the Residents' Association. We said that that was totally inadequate, and we've asked them to go and look at it again. They based the report on the actions and the outcomes of that. What will happen eventually is a report will go to the Traffic Management Committee, okay, and then they will make form some opinions, and then that will go out to a full consultation of residents in terms of any actions that are taken on individual roads. So it's got a bit of a way to go yet, but residents will get a full consultation on any decisions that go forward or any recommendations that go to the Traffic Management Committee.
Chris.
On your financial report, you said at the very end that in the charities budget line it's £2,000, and I think you said we've still got £1,000 available.
50 available.
I'd suggest from hearing the whole of your report that the council should, for the remainder of this budget year, not be looking to use up budgets that have not been spent, but trying to redress some of the overspend that's been to date. I wouldn't expect to see anything but absolutely essential expenditure over the next 2 months during this budget year to minimise that £30,000 overspend that you forecast.
We did make a decision to reduce, to cut in half the donation we made to Fairfield Bowls,
Yeah.
which you might be aware of because you was at the last meeting, weren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've taken on board that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, young lady.
Nothing against the present incumbents imposed or anything like that, but when obviously Elsie decided to resign, and obviously you just made a new appointment as well, was there a review undertaken of the amount of admin support that we actually needed in the office, given the amount of overspend we have had this year?
No.
Why was that not happening?
Well, there hasn't been an opportunity to do that. I mean, to be quite honest, Leslie was left on her own for a considerable period of time leading up to the resignation itself. We didn't know whether she was coming back or not. We've only just taken on the admin assistant at the Janet, as I said earlier, and there's not been an opportunity to do that. So what we've done is the councillors are of the opinion that it was only fair and proper to give Leslie the benefits that go with running the town council, because that is basically what she's doing on her own at the moment. So she's been given the role of acting town clerk, and then when the new council takes over in May, I'm sure a review will take place and an appointment will be made.
So you're saying there will be no appointment of a proper town clerk until the new council's doing that?
I believe that's the way it will be.
Because obviously there are other ways of doing things, you know, great, Leslie's got an acting up, which is fantastic, and she should be, you know, given that. But, you know, you could put the admin assistant in on a fixed term contract whilst the council obviously do go under that review and can go through it properly and have a look at what we need.
The admin assistant role is on a temporary contract of 6 months.
Right,
But
okay.
obviously there's a possibility that if Janet does really well, then we'll keep her, we'll extend that.
Okay.
But obviously that support was needed for Leslie because it's impossible to cope on her own doing the work